Hey there. I've been asked by request to talk about capital letters. Now, when I first started calligraphy, I did have the mind that it would be really important for me to make sure everything looked right. And I think the funny thing about teaching modern calligraphy is I don't actually start with the first letter of the sentence, which is the capital letter. If I did do that, perhaps our first talks about calligraphy would have involved a capital letter. Now, I kind of did disguise it, and of course, in starting a journey doing modern calligraphy, I thought it'd be easier to just join up the whole alphabet in cursive letters, because you want to form words before you simply write capitals. So we've all got to start somewhere. Now, of course, as you go on and you start practicing, you do want to start doing full sentences. So doing capital letters is absolutely crucial, especially if you're doing your name and such like. Now, I tend to have a very simple approach to doing capital letters, and that comes from for making gift tags and happy birthdays and things like that. And I found out very early on that if I did capital letters and tried to join them to the next letter, it didn't look great at all. In fact, if I did a capital letter and then carried on the word, this part here of what I was writing often looked ever so strange. So I made a policy, a Pictoria policy, that I would, from now on, just do a capital letter and it would stand alone. And then I would begin the word. So I've noticed a lot of you have been making real progress on what you're doing, and you've been sharing that with me on messages and such like. And what I've noticed is everybody really has got their own style, and that is so heartening to see, to be honest with you, and it's great to see you develop. So today's video, as you've noticed, is me multitasking, talking while I'm writing. And these are the capitals that I use. Now, you can start to get really fancy with things, as you can see there, and add little curls and such like. Before you do get super confident, it might be that you add the swirls in at the end. So for example, here's a fancier arm. And now that I've finished that leg there, I'm going to add that curl. I might even do that. I might even add another one to this leg here. So you can add this sort of swirls situation after you've done it. Same here. Now this S, why not fancy it up a bit and have a bit of a woohoo going on? Remember, these capitals wouldn't normally be next to each other, so whether they overlap each other or not is irrelevant, really. See, it's interesting, like with this T here, if I was now going to write the, and I wanted to join the H to the T, I have got options. I'll finish the alphabet first and we'll come back to that. But as you can see, there's no real fanciness to the capital letters that I'm using. What is important with them is that you're confident. Let's just do a bit of a swirl on this Y. Ooh. It's confident. I mean, look at this Z. It's just a Z. It's just, but it's sometimes the simplest things are the most difficult to do because we overthink them so much. We're taught to think that life is really hard, and you know, when it comes to doing things like this, a capital letter to me means the beginning of something. The beginning of something should be simple, and now I'm just really sort of exploring mindfulness within what we're talking about. And it should aid you to remember that each start is a fresh start, and just joining on the letters that you've been practicing isn't always practical. A capital letter is really important because it denotes the accent of where you're coming from, the start of the journey. So, if we go back to what I was saying about the T, I'm just going to slide that over there. I always like to use both sides. So, let's take a couple of options here. So, say that I did the T on a heavy downstroke like that, and then I wanted to write the. I always stop after I've done this capital and then continue on with the word. Not everybody does that, but that's what I do, just to balance myself. We've talked before about when you start a piece of work, you practice it first. So here's my practice paper there. And I do that to make sure that the ink's flowing properly through the pen nib and that my hand is relaxed. And just look back over the other videos if you want a bit of guidance on that. Now, we've got a couple of options here. So to write the, I would normally favour doing this and just starting as if there was no T there, okay? However, if you want to write the and join it on, what you can do is do this. And it gives a flow to it. But there are letters where it's really, really hard to join them on. So, for example, it's easy to say, get an R, and then go like this, because it does work. There is a slight awkwardness about it, if I'm being honest. I'm just going to add a little swirl to that, okay? And you could say an S joined onto a T is okay. Wow, we can even join the two T's together. Look at that, that's quite funky. However, don't feel like you've got to rush. And many people feel like joining everything together, joining all the dots, making everything work, making everybody happy, making sure everything's okay. And that's the aim of it, but it's not really. The flow is important. But when people see that you've written something like this, they enjoy the flow of it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't quite join up. Also, it gives you a moment to check where you're writing if you're not sure. Now, I will say to you that you can go a bit more fancy if you want. So say, for example, and we'll do this in a future video, say if you wanted to start with an A and you wanted to make it way more fancy. I'm going to do this in pencil first. We're going to go over it, and that's another option you can do. So say we go like this with an A, and I'm going to plan to do something really fancy and come across over like that with the A. Now let's do that in pen. Downstroke here like this, as you already know. And then starting from up here, downstroke again, and we're going to swirl. I'm really just using the pencil mark as a reminder for where I went. We can rub it out afterwards, it doesn't have to remain there. Now, that's a really super A, and it's really exciting. But when you're doing a large piece of writing, it just depends on confidence. So whatever level you're going to be at, these are sort of 3 levels here. Just cover that up. A little bit of a mistake. You see, there's no right or wrong to it. It's just about confidence. And the idea of you messing up a piece of work because you're desperately trying to join everything together is probably a red herring. Okay, so again, a B can be really ornate like this, and we can start adding in the little sort of, like we do with the R, little swirly bits in there. And you'll remember we did the C quite plain like that, but you can stick in that. Now that's like the Coca-Cola C, that is. Branding. Okay, and let's finish off with the D. Go down. And we could even go like that there and just finish inside. So these are a lot more ornate. This is what you've learnt previously, and this is the simplification of it, or the option of joining it on. You have to explore yourself and find out if it flows easily or not. Don't force it to fit if it doesn't, and don't overthink it. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll have a very new video coming soon. Haven't decided what it is yet, but it's going to be more, and keep those pictures coming. I really enjoy seeing how you're getting on.